Hello, welcome. I'm Emily Clement, the Associate Director of Strategic Partnerships and the Downtown Bay City Center for Delta College.
And I'm Carrie Jeffers. I am the College Registrar and Director of Enrollment Services at Macomb Community College.
Today, we're just going to talk to you about some other features for the Michigan Transfer Network. You may know it, and I think a lot of people know it as something that they would use to look at courses and how they transfer, but there's just so many other benefits to that website. A student can go on to the MiTransfer pathway. They can see more information about the Michigan Transfer Agreement. They can see more about AP, reverse transfer. It'll link to the different landing pages for the colleges and universities that participate. There are technical resources, so a student or any of us can go in and see a video, how it works, that type of thing. We've had the Michigan Community College Association has posted videos to make that more user-friendly. And so we just wanted to go over a couple of the options today, things that we use a lot, and just so you can maybe get some pointers on things you can also do.
All right, thanks, Emily. I just want to echo what Emily has said. As we kind of transitioned from the old macro website of the MTN, as we all knew how ancient it was and out of date, but when we launched that, it was high technology at the time that it was created and developed. And as part of the MTN implementation team, I felt very honored to be a part of that team. And Macomb was actually one of the tester schools as well. And what I'd like to say is that we definitely can use this probably more effectively and efficiently than we have ever been able to in regards to helping students direct transfer options. And I know for myself and my staff and people at Macomb, one of the greatest features that we feel is beneficial is the opportunity to use the reporting feature. And that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about with you today. If you look in, when you land on the landing page, the MTN Secure User Dashboard, one of the main things that I work on is the reports feature, as well as the MTA and general education tab. And those are the two that I'm going to share with you today. Many people don't realize that they can schedule reports. Your team can schedule reports. You can go out there and there's just a vast array of data that is accessible to you as an end user. Two of the reports that I use pretty regularly to make sure that the information is most accurate and up to date on MiTransfer Network is this course equivalency matrix, as well as the equivalency change report. When we launched the MTN, it was really important to have accurate information on transfer. And we all know that things can change throughout time in regards to certain classes that come to the community college from fellow colleagues can evolve and change. Some are no longer in use and are replaced with other classes. And so one of the reports that I look at and that I use very frequently is the community college matrix. I have an example for you in regards to one of our entry-level classes, Psych 1010. And one of the ways that you can run this report is by putting in the CC to CC matrix. And this pops up and you can look at your school and see how your psychology class transfers to all the community colleges across the state of Michigan. This is really beneficial for my transfer credit team in regards to what classes we used to use. I know that sometimes institutions change the way that they label or make a demarcation of classes. We used to have a 3-digit code. Now we have a 4-digit code at Macomb. And so being able to be very transparent with transfer credit to our students, as well as our colleagues who use this as an advising tool, is really important. Plus, it also shows us the gaps where maybe we need to work with other institutions across the state of Michigan to see what classes we may be able to transfer to have that equivalency on file for students to have options to look at. One of the other tools that I find very useful is the scheduling of reports. There are 5, 6 different areas that you can use in the scheduling of reports. The one that I use most often is the equivalency change. Per the MTN and per legislation, we're all required to upload our transfer credit quite regularly. So we make sure we have the most accurate information for our students and for our colleagues who use this as an advising tool. The great thing about scheduling a report is you can go out, schedule it, and you can have it sent to you as many times as you want. You can have it sent to your colleagues to make sure that, one, the report was run correctly, and two, the information that is coming out of your student information system is accurately being reflected on the MTN as well. I have this report scheduled for months. I put it on a monthly rotation. Sometimes I do it weekly. It kind of depends on where we are in the process. If we've gone through large curriculum changes, I may schedule it more often than monthly, just to make sure, again, that the information is accurate, up to date, and that it aligns with the current curriculum that Macomb Community College has to offer. And finally, one of the other great tools with reporting is the MTA and general education information. And I know, being a community college and an issuer of the MTA demarcation, I go out and I update this quite a bit. What I really like about this feature, and if you haven't had the opportunity to go out and input all the information, I will tell you up front to get all of your MTA classes out there correctly in the right distribution area and to make sure that the information is accurate. It is a heavy lift at the beginning. And I have to say, I spent one whole entire day going out and putting in all the MTA classes. I wanted to make sure that it was accurate, it was accessible, and also just to be very transparent with all of our other colleagues in the classes that we use towards the MTA when we issue that to students from a community college perspective. Once you do the initial kind of larger input, the maintenance, I go out monthly again. Sometimes I do it right after curriculum committee when things have changed, when it's most fresh in my mind. But having your MTA classes out on this site, how they transfer, what classes are being used, as well as the distribution area, just provides a lot of transparency for the students, as well as our colleagues who, again, are advising students to make sure that as they're working with students, the MTA will be met in a timely manner for successful transfer. Those are some of the reports that I use that I find most user-friendly and helpful from a perspective of myself as the college registrar, as well as my transfer credit team and other people who may use such reporting tools at the college to make sure that we're serving our students accurately and being very transparent with the way that transfer credit is being assessed and applied to student records at Macomb. I'm now going to hand it over to Emily, who's going to talk a little bit more about how Delta College uses the MiTransfer network.
If we look at the landing page, and I indicated that, you'll find all the colleges and university landing pages that are participating in the Michigan Transfer Network. And this, for example, is Delta's transfer page or landing page. And so for transfer guidance, we have information on how to link to our Michigan Transfer Agreement. We have a link to our articulation agreements and transfer guides, and then the guest application, because those are things that students are frequently looking for. Also a link to transcripts. And, keep in mind that these pages are different for the different colleges and universities, how you want to put that in. They have the headings are there, but you can put the information you want in there. And I work on updating this page as well as our registrar, Terry Gould. And then we have a link to all 10 of our MiTransfer pathway pages on our main web page. Then there's other campus resources like admissions, transfer student admissions, advising financial aid, the academic catalog, and then information on how we award CLEP and Dante and credit by exam and military credit. So that information is all linked right on our landing page. If we look at the under transfer guidance, if we look at articulation agreements and transfer guides and we click on that, it takes you to our page where you can see the MiTransfer pathways, and there's a link in the black box, and there's also a link in that opening paragraph. The MiTransfer pathways, then it'll link you to the page that we have specifically for that. And on the MiTransfer pathways page, it explains how it works. It tells people that you look at the AA or Associates in Arts or Associates in Science, and you would look at the MTA, work on completing the MTA and these pathway courses. Mm-hmm. And say, for example, the student decided they wanted psychology, they would click on the psychology link here, which would take them to our psychology page. The psychology page kind of has information about the program, what the career, the occupation, the potential earning potential for that occupation. They have a couple different options. So option one lists the articulation agreements. We have 3 different universities that we have articulation agreements specifically for psychology in, listed here. And then option 2, which is our MiTransfer pathways. Students can see, okay, I can take those pathway courses and for psychology, and then these are the universities participating, the transfer destinations. So if they click on that hyperlink, they takes them back to the landing page at the Michigan Transfer Network. And so most of the universities that have something out there now on their landing page with information about how they're participating in MiTransfer pathways. Not everyone, but most of them do. And so that's information I know that a lot of people are working on updating. We also then in our student portal, which is, the internal, we have the same basic information that you would find on our MiTransfer pathways page, but we also have a link to the guide. The guide is actually the pathway guide that we used in all of our agreements. So it lists, Delta College, the AA in psychology. It's, requires 62 credits. You'll work on Michigan Transfer agreement and these pathway courses up to 62 credits to earn your degree. So I have gone over all this information with our counseling advising staff. I've had a couple different training sessions with them. I've gone over this in our Winter Learning Days sessions, and we've had publicity. So we're trying to get the word out, and I do see that a lot more universities are getting their pages updated. So this information is available. And, that kind of in a nutshell is what we're doing here at Delta.
And Emily, I really appreciate that you have it posted in 2 locations. Well, probably 3, right? You have it on the MiTransfer network page. You also have it inside your student portal, which makes it very accessible for students when you're advising or you can't get to the MiTransfer network page, right? And then probably you have some kind of direction on your public website. And I appreciate that. And that's something that I'm going to take back to my team as we, evolve and we change and we decide how best to get this information to students and being as transparent as possible, but also utilizing this tool, which I think is a very effective tool and a great resource. And I still think it's trying to catch on, right? I mean, I still think that it's something that some people may realize, some people may not realize that's out there and open to everybody. You don't have to be an employee at a specific college to access that. It's open and available for everybody on the public side, but then all the things that we can do kind of behind the scenes to make sure that our information is accurate. I'm really glad that I got to share that. And I know that if you have any questions, you can feel free to contact me. Our information is there provided on the screen. And Emily, I didn't know if you had any other parting thoughts or anything.
No, the same, same for me. I'm always happy to answer questions, how we're doing something and sharing best practices. I think that's what, as sister community colleges around the state, I think we do that well. We work together and you reach out to each other and say, hey, what are you doing for this? And I think that's also the beauty of macro, where we're able to get to know each other and able to put a face with that name at that other college. And work together.
I wholeheartedly agree. The networking and why reinvent the wheel if somebody else is doing it. Being able to glean and learn from one another and being able to just provide the best service we can, because all in all, it doesn't matter where the student goes. We want them to be able to achieve whatever it is their educational goal is. And we all have some part in that to play.